Hello, my name is Agustin. I decided to do this little project here because I figured that the way it was coming together, this stencil project, was a little bit different. Stencil is usually used for street art, for graffiti making, for advertisement. Some artists like Sigmar Polke or even Ed Ruscha has also used stencil. What I found interesting is that this whole project was a mistake, and that's the kind of projects that I'm really interested in following when something happens as an accident. So what happened was that I'm doing lately a lot of cutout pieces. A cutout piece is basically a stencil, but the stencil is the piece. That's basically what it is. A cutout piece is making a stencil, which is not a stencil. And what happened was that I was doing a lot of these pieces, and some of them I just couldn't put them into any kind of composition. And eventually I just said, like, well, let's just try something different, because I didn't know what to do anymore. I was just like, well, so I just started playing around, and I started doing this kind of series, and I did a few. So this video is a demonstration of four pieces made on this found white paper. What I realized is that I could slowly, using bits of the stencil, you could actually create some kind of a discourse, right? That's very interesting, because the idea was to create pieces. The pieces in the first place were not good, and then I just started like using little bits, overlapping, juxtaposing, all this kind of playing, improvising, really, adding up to failure. Now, the other thing about the video itself, I just figured, I was listening to this audiobook, right? Girl in a Band. I think that's the name of the audiobook. It's by Kim Gordon. It's an autobiography by the bassist of Sonic Youth. And somebody in some point tells her, if you're getting something out of it, you should give something back. It's very refreshing to hear that. That's a perfect art teacher thing. It really, because it kind of erases whenever you're gonna exhibit, and whenever you think about doing something and showing it, putting it outside, it's very easy just to think, this is really just a self-indulgence. I'm just gonna put something out there because I did it and I believe that my subjectivity is worth or whatever, right? And so maybe that's not the right approach. Maybe that's not the right perspective. When I heard this thing, I thought, well, maybe that's the right perspective. Not looking at it as a self-indulgent subjectivity, but just as I'm paying my debts, because I'm consuming a lot of content, and I guess I should do something to pay it back, to pay it forward. So I decided to do this. What was the idea? When you start thinking about what to do and what to give, you realize pretty quickly that's the big dilemma, right? What can I give that is relevant, that maybe somebody wants? Unknowingly, when you're doing that, you're kind of shooting yourself in the knee, because I don't think there's a way to be authentic and relevant. I mean, maybe if you're like a doctor, maybe if you're like a missionary or something like that, you can be authentic and be relevant. But when you're a painter, like I am, when you're just somebody who's like interested in making images and thinking about images, it's very hard to be really relevant. There's ways of doing art and being relevant, like maybe you could say that artivism, right? You do some activism and you do like a poetic action, and that could be relevant. But the problem with artivism that my small experience, is that you just end up doing stuff focusing on power and resistance. And I think there's more to life than just power and resistance. You know what I mean? Because then you figure out, you have this little vision, and you say, okay, this is important. Let's kind of change things. Let's protest this thing that is happening. Let's make a change in reality. Let's make some social waves. Let's make people think different. What you're doing is you're just picking up a fight with the big powers that be, maybe, and at the same time you're like embodying some kind of power. You're becoming the thing that you're resisting, right? Because you fight fire with fire, so you become a power hungry person, because you have to embody the power in order for the activism to work. You have to get people together, you have to get some money involved, you have to kind of become like an amateur politician to some degree to do that. And at the end, you're just inflicting power. And I just don't think inflicting power is very relevant. So I just decided maybe do something a little bit off. Maybe don't think about relevance and just bottle a little small project and then just send it out to sea and see what happens. Maybe nothing happens. That's okay. It doesn't have to be relevant. You know, there's kind of two kinds of artists, I think. The ones that want to change reality, and the ones that want to create a different bubble. And I think lately I just want to do that. You know, I just want to create a little bubble and just make suggestions. Listen, you don't necessarily have to look at the big picture. Maybe you want. If you want, you can do it, obviously. Do that. But it's not very fun. And it's all a power grab, and it's all an attention grab. So why don't you just focus on the way paint is getting spread on some piece of paper, right? You don't have to look at me to do it yourself. Just a suggestion. That reality can also be that. You can also be just focusing on tiny little details. Like this. Oh, let's make a little alphabet. With these failing experiments that I was doing with the cutting out piece, let's just build something that wasn't there. Let's be surprised. Let's improvise with the materials. Let's focus the day on that. And by the way, when I was doing this piece, I went out for a walk and I found this huge canvas. And you know, it's very common to have this feeling when you're an artist, that there's no demand, and you start second guessing. Why am I even doing this for? What am I doing these art things for? What is the point? Right? What is the idea? There's no demand for what I'm doing. And it's very true. Like, I think that's true for every artist. You can do 100 pieces, you're not gonna sell 100 pieces, you're gonna show 100 pieces. Most of the things you're just doing, and you're just gonna stay there, nobody's gonna see them ever, or whatever. So that's okay. But I went out, I found this canvas, and I could not help thinking, this is a suggestion, maybe you should paint a little bit. Maybe that should be reality, right? So I go out, nobody left that for me, but at the same time, that was exactly for me. I went outside, I started walking, just drifting, and I found this canvas, took it back home, and I realized, oh my god, I guess I should be painting. And I guess I should give something back. Whatever that means.